Hi guys, my name is Ophelia Gold and I've written the novel Cupid Romance Lovejoy. Now, the idea behind Cupid was to remove the myth of the baby in the nappy, and he is just a regular guy like us that most of the time hates his job. Now, Cupid has never had love of his own, and his job is purely to supply planet Earth with love for us mere mortals, but he's never experienced it himself. So that's the basis of the story, and he requests from God if he can go to Earth and live as a mortal man to see if he can find love. Now that's the synopsis of the story. But I've read a few chapters at the beginning as an audiobook just to give you a glimpse of what it's all about, and I'll play that for you now, and I hope you enjoy. Bye guys. Okay, so I'd like to say a big sorry to everyone who has experienced this, but sometimes I drink on the job and I kind of get a little reckless. I just start shooting my arrows at people for sport. Yes, I do it out of spite and malice, and I'm in a bad mood when I do it, but there has to be some perks to the job. I know I'm a bastard. I've heard people call me worse. I'm not bothered. Everyone else gets a day off. I never do. Plus, I get real sick of finding someone for everyone. My entire days are filled with people watching to see who should love who. God's kind of got his work cut out for him with listening to everyone's prayers. So, I'm one of his servants. Even though he has the final word, I still do my fair share of the homework. He tells me off when I go on a shooting spree, but he knows he can't fire me because there's only one Cupid. Plus, no other mug would be stupid enough to take my job on. Maybe that's where stupid Cupid comes from. I'm an ill-tempered man most of the time, filled with regret, remorse, and resentment. God knows why he named me Cupid Romance Lovejoy. I hate when people fall in love and are so happy. They say stupid shit like, "It's so weird, we have so much in common, and I found him, my future husband, thank God." Or, "The fates must be smiling down on me to have brought you into my life." What? That's not fair. Why do they get all the credit? Hello, it was me, Cupid. Stupid Cupid, more like. I mean, I suppose God and the fates had something to do with it, but so did I. You know that all-consuming butterflies in the tummy feeling? You feel dizzy, lightheaded, sick, excited, and full of love? Well, that's when I've hit you. That's when one of my arrows has just bit you in the arse. Sorry, I know everyone loves that feeling, so it's not all bad. All pessimistic people who don't believe in love are the ones I haven't gotten round to yet. Be patient, for God's sake, I'm only one man performing this service for the whole human race. Wait your turn. I will get to you eventually, but these things take time. Speaking of my arrows biting you in the arse, what you might not know is I have 4 different kinds of arrows. Gold is for love at first sight. Silver is for the ultimate desire of another. Copper is for a mutual attraction. I sometimes shoot these at pigeons for sport. And steel is for an obsessive love that you would give your life for. I hardly ever use the steel ones. It sounds too final and too dangerous. I watch people fall in love all day long. I laugh at the efforts of the mortal world, trying to find love the new digital way. Technology is stupid, it's too modern, it's killing romance. Can you believe someone has had the audacity to call a dating website after me? It's called okcupid.com. I'm not advertising it, so don't get any ideas. And what's with the okay part? I'm far better than okay, surely. What's more is they say romance is dead. Well, I'll be damned. I work all the time. Of course romance isn't dead. I mean, it's my middle name, for God's sake. Literally, my name is Cupid Romance Lovejoy. I know, it's so corny, right? I'm telling you, I work too much. It's not my fault if they mess it up. At least I've introduced them. I've given them that opportunity. But what most people don't realise is I just initiate it. I make you fall in love, but I don't make it last. That part's up to you. How you make work, family life, and home life coexist, it's all up to you. I give you the love. That's all. I can't help you successfully live together in peace and harmony. That requires patience and communication. Not my responsibility. I've heard a lot of people curse me over the centuries. People are so damned ungrateful. I mean, what about me? Where's my perfect love? There's no one for me. I'm not even an option. I'm too busy dealing with you lot. There's not enough hours in the day. Even Father Time can't help me out. Believe me, I've asked him. Like I said, it's a full overtime, a day and night job. I'm like Santa Claus. I have to go all over the world. Only Santa is a lazy bastard and only works one day of the year. That's insane. That jerk's got it way too easy. I hardly get any time off. Anyway, that's enough ranting for one day. Time to get back to the job before the big man upstairs starts complaining. All work and no play. I've created 417 couples this week. That's mighty impressive, you have to admit. I think my personal best one week was 722. That week I was obviously instructed to do overtime. You'd think by now I would have covered most of the population and that at some point I will have months off with empty lists because not only do I work alone, believe me, I would love a colleague to share the burden with, but also with population being in the billions. Not to mention the world is overpopulated and is becoming more so by the minute, but I also revisit the same people. You'll have noticed it yourself depending on your age. If you've loved more than once, it's because I've come back to you. Many people's names can appear on my list several times in their lifetime. On average, I'd say it's between 3 to 4 people per lifetime. And I partly love that, but also majorly resent it. It's not fair. Some people experience so many encounters of true love in their lives and others get none at all. Love should be distributed evenly. But hey, I don't run the show. I'm just the hired monkey with arrows. I suppose the only reason I get any pleasure out of going back to that person years down the line is because I like seeing how their lives have changed. How they've aged and if they look the same as the last time I saw them. To be honest, it's a miracle if I even realise I've been to the same person before. I see too many people in a day to remember anyone, really. It's only the extremely unusual names that stick in my mind. I remember visiting a lady 3 times in 12 years, and I only knew it was the same woman because her name was Knocker Ocker Locker. Say it fast, it's so much fun. Bit of a tongue twister if you pick up good speed. Needless to say, it's an unforgettable name, and if you are called, say, Amy Louise Smith, you're forgotten instantly. Valentine's Day. You have no idea how much I loathe Valentine's Day. Everyone says it's a day for couples, but my whole life revolves around creating new couples. Every day is Valentine's Day for me. And have you seen the merchandise for this holiday? Hearts galore and with many bow and arrow through them. Clearly an indicator that Cupid has everything to do with this stupid celebration. And guess what? I do! All couples who have someone to share the day with have me to thank. And everyone who has someone to love owes me big time. It should be called Cupid's Day, a holiday built around me to congratulate all the hard work I've been doing for the year. It should be my day off for Christ's sake, but no, it's Saint Valentine's Day. Saint Valentine was a mortal man and known within the circles of the Catholic Church. I've been in charge of this since before he was born. How dare a mortal man take credit for all of my doings? People know so little about him. They are still unsure if he was an individual or if St. Valentine was a pseudonym for several people. Well, I can't even answer you that. I've been rushed off my feet since the day I started this job, and I can say I've never had the pleasure of knowing the man. I wish at the time I could have spied on him, or even had him on my list one day. That would have been awesome. Date, February the 14th, year 235. Assigned, St. Valentine. Partner to be, Evelyn Garter. Arrow to use, silver. Time, 14:02. That would have been all I would have needed to satisfy my curiosity. Sadly, St. Valentine has never been on my schedule, so that means either one of two things. One, that he never experienced true love, as is the case for many members of religion. Two, there was no such individual. If number two is the case, then that makes me angrier still. I know I fall within the realms of mythology, but I assure you I exist, and that I'm only one man. But to dedicate a day to the supposed saint of love, when no one is entirely sure who he was or if he existed, brings my blood to the boil. You'd be shocked at how much work I have on Valentine's Day. It really is like Christmas for Santa. This is my holiday and I have so much more extra work. It's one of the busiest times of the year for me. I hardly ever get time to myself. If I was to ever be allowed a holiday of my own, it would be the day of celebrating love and to let me relax and take it easy for once for a change. It turns my stomach enough to have to witness all this mushy, gushy, sloppy, over-the-top romantic bullshit as it is. On the job. Okay, so first job of the day. Let's see who our lucky couple is going to be. Name, Mr. James Lloyd. Ethnicity, Caucasian. Gender, male. Age, 32. Occupation, works at Barclays Bank as a supervisor on Chingford Mount Road, South Chingford, London. Hair type, brown, short. Height, 5'10". Build, medium. Date of birth, 11/09/1987. Eye colour, pale blue. Home address, 14 Bury Road, E4 6LQ, Chingford, London. Arrow required, silver. Time of arrow, 11:03 AM. Location, Memorial Park. Counterpart. Name, Miss Susan Turner. Ethnicity, Caucasian. Gender, female. Age, 29. Occupation, works at local library as a librarian assistant, South Chingford Community Library, Chingford Mount Road. Hair type, long, auburn. Height, 5'7". Build, slender, petite frame. Date of birth, 2nd of the 4th, 1984. Eye colour, hazel. Home address, 26 Courtrush Road, CB10 2TB, Essex, London. Arrow required, copper. Time of arrow, 11:03. Location, Memorial Park. So this is a typical job for me. As you can see, the time of shooting has to be in the same minute as the fates command. But you have probably noticed, like I have, that they actually work on the same road and still may have never bumped into each other. Well, all that's going to change today because they're going to be connected and brought into each other's lives today at 11:03 at Memorial Park. I suppose you're wondering about another thing, the different arrows. I know, it actually makes me sad too. You know, I use the copper ones for fun when I shouldn't. It's just because they are the only arrows I have that are temporary. The feeling they give literally lasts for 24 hours, then it's over. Their hearts and minds are once again their own. So Susan will be under the influence for a day, whereas poor James is getting one of my silver arrows. Silver arrows are much more powerful. They give you a serious crush, filled with fiery passion and excitement, and the lasting effects are unknown. I suppose it'll last for as long as the other person is in their life, but when it's over for Susan, if she doesn't choose to continue seeing James, then this is going to be emotional torment for James to get through. I prefer the jobs where the arrows are identical, meaning they are feeling the same thing. No better and no worse. At least then it's even. It's fair. And I don't know why this happens, because I sent a message to the Fates one night out of curiosity, and they replied to me as though the answer was completely obvious and that I was a moron. It's their lives. To meet that person, to know that person, to love that person. To have that person for a short time or forever. And that was just a piece of it. But I get the gist. In a nutshell, their long and angry reply back to me explained not all love is requited and not all feelings are matched, and that's just life. Some people stay in your life for a reason and other people only for a season, is my summary. Still, it must blow when someone doesn't love you in return. After all, I'm not the decision maker on these matters, much to my chagrin. I'm just the lowly fool, obliged to go along with my daily schedule and not ask so many questions next time. So no more moping around. James, Susan, I'm coming for you. Okay, so James is jogging, I've got my sights on him, and I've clocked Susan walking from the opposite direction with her camera. Clearly something of a photographer when she isn't working in the library. Usually most jobs are easier than this, less active. I prefer the jobs when they're both sat in the office or sat across from each other in a restaurant together, both looking starry-eyed. Then boom, I've shot them both in the heart. Or bottom, or wherever I feel like. The effect is the same no matter where I aim. My aim is extraordinary. Not that I mean to brag, but come on, it is part of the job description after all. Unfortunately, on this job, I'm going to have to keep up with James until 11:03, where I can have a clear aim at both of them. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have come so early, but I couldn't risk being late. I'm so out of breath, I nearly collapsed into the bushes. I decide a little too late to finally stalk Susan. She's far less mobile than James. She's walking slowly, capturing different angles of the trees in Memorial Park. Honestly, if I wasn't dying from exhaustion, I would have noticed what a gorgeous day it is. Susan is taking wildlife shots of the birds now, and I can't help but photobomb the moment and jump right in front of the camera. Of course, I'm only entertaining myself as I'm completely invisible to her, but it makes me laugh all the same. I'm getting my breath back now, and take the most out of sitting on the grass on this heavenly day. Susan is fascinated with the birds and trees I can see over her shoulder. She's taking some great snaps. I can feel myself becoming too fixated on her passion. I stare down at my watch in panic to see it's 11:02. In the nick of time, I jump to my feet and poise my bow and arrow directed straight at a running James who is storming toward me. I hit him directly in the chest, hard. I believe in dads they would call this a bullseye, and jump in front of the camera once again to create love wounds directly to Susan's chest. My magical arrows leave their tips in the body of their victims, and the remainder falls off and evaporates into thin air. Once all evidence of the arrows have vanished, only then do I start to feel relieved at a job well done. The bird Susan was memorized with flutters down low to the ground and sweeps up fast in a flitting motion past James. Their eyes lock. James stops running. Susan stops clicking. Some nonsense small talk breaks out about the bird they just saw fly away, followed by even smaller talk about the weather. James takes interest in Susan's photography, and Susan delights in showing him. I allow myself a small amount of time to watch the informal introductions, because I like seeing how nervous people get around people they fancy. Plus, it's the only job satisfaction I get, so I steal a few moments. I watch James' over-the-top reactions to how fantastic Susan's pictures are, and watch how Susan's face lights up with pride. They're both oozing lust and intrigue, neither knowing why they are feeling what they feel, but reveling in every second of it. At last, the personal introduction of names are exchanged along with a lingering handshake. It seems as though neither wanted to let go. Staring at them silently, watching them as they slowly meander along the paths and through the trees, I hear the echoes of birds chirping along with distant mumblings about nature and fresh air and how great it is to be outdoors on a day off. They were already connected and didn't even know it. As I walk off to the next job, I push my bow back into my black leather quiver down my back and push all the thoughts of James and Susan out of my mind. I push on to make good time, to make the next pair fall in love. And I push down the green-eyed monster that lay dormant within me, along with the rest of my feelings.